Don't forget to check out the Hockey Podcast Network's newest affiliate, NHLShop.com. That's right, the official NHL merchandise page. Right now, they're giving 20% off orders over $25 with code NHLICE25. Also, if you use our link that we're going to tweet out after this episode, you can help support us and the other hosts at the Hockey Podcast Network.
This is the Hockey Podcast Network, your home for hockey talk on every team in the NHL.
Welcome to Offside by a Mile, the podcast for anything and everything Colorado Avalanche, and the official Avs podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. Well, Jared, I'm officially a full-time podcaster, sort of.
Oh, yeah, right.
I have been COVID-19 laid off for at least, well, we'll see, 60 days for now, but this is it. I get a podcast now for all of my things.
All of my stuff.
All of my stuff. That's a lie. I'm going to play so much video games.
Yeah.
Also going to watch a lot of hockey, right, NHL?
Hopefully.
Right?
Yeah. So
we're creeping up on the June 1st John Scott deadline.
yeah, that's true.
Things continue to look up.
Yeah, what are we at?
every
Like,
week.
I guess 2 weeks from tomorrow? Is there 31 days in May? I don't know.
Yeah, it would be 2 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah, there is 31 days.
2 weeks tomorrow is June 1st. So
And
maybe in 2 weeks, we're talking about training camp starting on that fresh podcast on June 1st.
hell, like next week, possibly, even with all this news coming out that, like, that Pierre LeBrun tweet that we kind of talked about earlier.
Athletic article and all
Exactly.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that, they're making progress. It's looking like the 24 team layout is kind of, what they're looking at the most right now, which is super interesting.
Which we're definitely going to get into that for sure on this episode. Another thing we're going to get into on this episode is if you saw our retweets and tweets and discussion a little bit on, I believe it was Tuesday's tweet from the Ice Analytics podcast. That is the Advanced Stats podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. He has been releasing annual rates numbers for every team in the NHL based on the current standings in the NHL. The Avs were up on Tuesday, and oh my Atlanta, it was a good set of numbers for the Avs, which we all know. We've all talked about it till the cows come home. But man, the thing with Advanced Stats, and it's why the Advanced Stats crew is kind of a pain in the ass when you're not part of it. Like, I am definitely not an Advanced Stats guy. I'd like to be.
Neither of us are.
I'd like to get a little bit more knowledge when it comes to that because I'm a bit of a nerd, especially when it comes to hockey. But the numbers, just like how they come up with this shit, just boggles my mind. But it always seems like Advanced Stats just confirm things that happen. They don't tell you they're gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like every time you look at an Advanced Stat, and you're like, oh, that guy's like, he's got really good underlying numbers. And then you look at guys like, say, for me, as a Leafs fan, Cody Ceci, he's got good underlying numbers, but he's hot shit.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, well, it's not always perfect. It's supposed to be. And again, this is hockey. It's very different than, say, baseball, where, it's offense versus defense. It's one guy versus a pitcher, stuff like that. Like, plus the fact that, they play so many games in baseball, right? You have so much more opportunity to create averages, where hockey, it's so dependent on who you're on the ice with, on your team and against you, right? So it's obviously Advanced Stats are going to be hard to come by. But it's really nice when you can be a team like the Avs and get this really nice boost of, I feel like, confidence. Because it's just, oh, we're good.
It's just,
and this is why we're good.
It's like
it's
reaffirming
not a
it.
Yeah. So that was cool to see. Man, just Burakovsky being one of the elite offensive forces on the team when you look at time on ice, like offense generated per minute of time on ice. Like,
Yeah.
that's insane, dude.
Yeah. I mean, he was calculated to be the best offensive forward in the league.
Yeah,
In the league relative to time on ice.
right? Which is like, it's crazy. And again, you have to take it with a grain of salt because of he's not playing against top pairings.
And plus, his time on ice is less
Yeah.
than a lot of players on this team.
And, you know, just because you play 25 minutes a night, a la Connor McDavid, doesn't mean that you're just going to magically, like, you're not going to go from 18 minutes a night to 25 minutes a night and just put up an extra point.
Yeah.
That's not just how it works.
That's not how it works, right? Exactly. But
So,
for his time on ice, he's very effective.
but again, right, it helps confirm, in my eyes, it confirms that you're not biased when you're looking at a player.
yeah.
When you can put a stat against the eye test as a fan, it's like us, right? Like us, like anybody listening to the podcast. It's easy to get in the tunnel vision of like, oh, my team's great, this guy's great, this guy's great, this guy's great, this guy's great. But when you put his advanced stats numbers against that thought process, and you're like, wow, he really is X much better than the next guy.
So it's not just me.
It's like, oh, like everybody think back to the McKinnon-Burakovsky line combo when the injuries were piling up. Man, he fit in so good.
Yeah.
And yes, you can argue that it was McKinnon's doing because McKinnon did it with everybody. And he does it with everybody because he's an all-time skilled player, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he is in the superstar tier, right?
Yep.
And we've talked about it, superstar tier players make make people around them better. But man, Burakovsky looked so good on that line with him. And again, we talked about it. It wasn't like it wasn't like he was going to bump Rantanen out of that role or Landeskog out of that role. But sure looked nice.
And he fit in well, both on left wing and right wing.
Yeah.
On that top line, both, you know, when Landeskog was out and then when Rantanen was out.
And
like
then
Donskoy took some of that time on that line, but, you know, like Donskoy didn't, you know, like quite fit as well as Burakovsky. When they found Burakovsky up there, and then everyone's like, oh, okay.
wow, this guy can rip the puck and McKinnon can get him in open space and all this stuff. You're like, wow.
And, like, I mean, he was creating just as much as McKinnon for, like, a lot of those games, too. So, yeah.
Then, on the opposite side of the coin, Chuchi,
yeah, dude.
our elite defensive forward, is Chuchi.
Yeah, which is, like,
Val
I was
Nichushkin.
thinking about this, too, and it's interesting.
It's
and
a lot, like, it's very rare that you look at a guy, especially a forward, that plays elite defense, and you're like, wow, that really stands out. Because that's the best defensive defenseman is the guy you never talk about. Same as a defensive forward. And while we joked and laughed about Nichushkin not being able to score when he had a million chances and all this stuff, and eventually when he started putting the puck in the net, the reason he was still in the lineup was because he wasn't getting scored on.
Yeah. And I mean, that's...
And to be honest, like, I didn't notice that. Like, I didn't notice him having that kind of impact on the game. But that's exactly how defensive players work.
Yeah, and if you think about how his shifts went throughout the year, he controls play a lot, you know? Like he when he gets the puck too, like he kind of like not exactly like Forsberg, obviously, you know, and like McKinnon kind of is, but he's so hard to knock off the puck, like with his huge stature. Like he's a big boy, right? He can move quick, and he's just got like great body positioning all the time. And that's kind of, you know, how I compared the number, like that 87 on defense, you know. It's like, yeah, he kept the play out of our defensive end a lot because he's so good at rushing the puck as well. I mean, yeah, and yeah, it's super interesting because I wouldn't have expected that. If we were to bet on which forward would have the highest defensive stats, it's definitely not who I would have picked.
No, definitely not.
It probably would have been more someone like Landeskog, who's up there too. But
again, it's another one of those things too where you're like, the grain of salt is that the competition he had to play against.
Yeah, that too, exactly.
But
yeah.
at the same time, like, you can only play against the people that are on the ice against you, and if you excel against them, that's all you can do. That's all you can ask for.
That's your job.
I think it was obvious when Bednar would lean on Nichushkin in tight parts of the game and stuff like that. Where
Move him up and down the lineup, and
it's again two guys where you're like, Joe Sakic just went out, fixed some problems, and got outrageous performance out of the guys that he chose for that.
And like two guys, I mean, Washington didn't really give up on Burakovsky, but
They just
didn't
couldn't afford
necessarily
him.
have the opportunity for him. But like Nichushkin, that was like a straight up that this guy
That was
is probably not going to turn into what we thought he was.
a zero risk asset acquirement, right?
Yeah.
With Nichushkin.
For
Zero
sure.
risk. If he wasn't good, you cut him, you part your ways, and
Doesn't
life
cost
is,
you
moves
really
on,
anything yet.
right? And he's again, we've talked about this before. He's not turning into the player that he was drafted as, but he's definitely turning into a player that may survive in the NHL where he wasn't before.
And may have like a pretty decent impact on even a second line.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, yeah. Can't praise Sakic enough like we did last week too. I'll do it again right now. He's killing it, dude. Like
And then
killing it.
And then you go back to the back end stuff, and obviously Cale Makar was legendary as a rookie-ish sophomore, like playing in his second part of the season. And you're just like, obviously, he's Cale Makar.
Yeah.
It's just like as obvious as Nathan McKinnon is a stud, so is Cale Makar. It's gross. It's, oh my God. Ian Cole, obviously the stats are there, so it's not a surprise that he was having a good year for himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's disappointing to me when it comes to the defense is that the defensive side of the game has no studs, which is the problem the Avs have.
Yep.
Right? And we've talked about that problem
A lot during the year, right?
ad nauseum. Like it's literally all we talk about when it comes to the defense, it seems, right? And it's the struggle that is what it is. But hey, man, Joe Sakic hit some home runs on fixing the team last summer. Maybe that's where he moves somebody this offseason or finds a free agent or whatever. And it's just.
Yeah, I'm sure his focus has definitely gone away from the forwards and more towards the defense, obviously.
The depth on forward doesn't really need to be. It's still, and I think we kind of touched on it last week with Zadorov. Maybe we didn't, but will Zadorov be a part of the Avs next year?
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to be the defensive guy, and he hasn't been. And I don't think it's smart to give up on the guy.
Yeah.
But you need that hole for somebody that's going to actually play defense for you.
The way I think about Zadorov is, I mean, he has the skill set. He has the physique. It's all between the ears for him.
Seems like it.
And we saw it a numerous amount of times this year where, like, we talked about it, how, I don't know, a month into the season, the dude's playing really good defense. He's playing his one-on-one roles so well and shutdown role just, really good for about, I don't know, a 3-week span probably. And then it just disappeared.
It's like, literally just
what happened? And like not like to an average level, like to a way below average level, giving up garbage goals, like taking just horrendous penalties.
Controller disconnected plays.
Seriously. You're like, what are you doing, Z? Just standing in the corner. There's like 2 guys in front. Yeah, so.
Right, and it's like, we've talked about it. You want more out of Eric Johnson. You want more defensive stuff out of Ian Cole.
Yeah.
Ryan Graves, too, like, he had a fine season. I think he had a fine season.
Yeah.
But, again, if that's the pairing, if it's Makar and Graves, you need... which Makar was surprisingly defensively solid, in my opinion.
Yeah.
A lot of nights.
And he got a lot better.
Yeah,
right?
I think so too. And he, like, how many times did we have the argument or, like, the discussion when there was guys that were just standing in front of the net and Makar was the guy battling to get the guy out of the front of the net, where a guy like Eric Johnson or Zadorov or Ian Cole were just like watching a guy stand there.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just stuff like that where you need the work ethic on the D side of the puck for the Avs. It needs to be the main thing we see when, knock on wood, hockey comes back.
See, I feel like the when is...
I feel like it's not
that's
if
the
anymore.
word now, right?
I feel like it's not if anymore.
Exactly.
At which, just want to throw this out there. I was just on Twitter before we started recording this, seeing some stuff, and one of the guys that covers the Leafs, tweeted a question, like a poll, and it was a 4-answer poll, and it was, what playoff format would you rather see? A 16-team, 20-team, 24-team, or push this season to next year? Just call it a day. See you in October. 26% of the people in like a 1,000 answer poll answered see you next season.
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta be nuts, man.
I've seen so many of those tweets and comments everywhere, and it is mind-boggling. I don't understand. How are you a fan that doesn't want that? Like, you don't want the season anymore.
And then I also saw tweets where it was like the only team that's going to care about this playoff series, like this playoff event, whatever we call it, like whatever it ends up being. The only team that's going to care about it is the team that wins the cup. And it's like, man, I don't buy that. We had that conversation with, was it Shane? No, who was it that asked the question about, like,
might have been Mike.
Maybe it was Mike.
I don't know.
Or maybe it was the Jets guys. I can't remember. Whoever we talked to weeks ago that had the asterisk conversation about this cup, man, it's just like, maybe, but like I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Me neither.
I still don't see it.
Well, here's my thought process on it too, and like I've seen those comments too, relating back to 2013.
Yeah.
With the lockout, whoever thinks about that cup win, I believe it was Chicago.
Yeah, maybe
Chicago win that year. I think it was Chicago. Who looks back on that and is like, that's a fake cup. Or they didn't work for
Chicago's
that.
won 3 cups in the last 10 years. But it's like 2.5. Nobody says that.
Yeah,
Nobody.
no.
Not one.
And that's the thing with this season is, say we have a 24-team playout thing here. Even if, I've thought about this a lot too, even if that 24th place team battles their way into the cup and wins the damn Stanley Cup through that,
Yeah.
fuck, all the power to you, buddy.
Yeah.
You just killed it.
For people that are listening to this that don't really know of what the CHL is in Canada, it's our junior league, and the Memorial Cup happens every year. Not this year because it got canceled, but its motto is the hardest championship to win because
I see where you're going.
3 of the teams in that Memorial Cup tournament have to win their division, win their league. So that's the WHL in the Western Canada, the OHL in Ontario, and the QMJHL in Quebec and the Maritimes. The championships of those teams make the Memorial Cup, and they fight for the Memorial Cup. But there's a 4th team, which is the host city.
Yeah.
The host city is generally picked based on being a contender, having a ton of talent, all that stuff.
Mind you, I think that's done at the start of the year that they pick them where the location is.
Because they have to set
make
it up
preparations.
And lots of organization, right?
Yeah.
And that's where like the slight bit of tarnish comes on being the hardest championship to win, because a team that can literally not win their championship can win the tournament.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't happen very often. But like you just said, a lot of the time that team ends up finishing second. Like they lose the final opposed to winning the final.
Yeah,
or sometimes it's a team that lost out to that host team and then they get invited just because it has to be a 4-team tournament regardless.
Right.
But again, like you just said, if say you are the team that's a host and you end up winning the Memorial Cup, man, all the power to you. You just beat the champions of every other league.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's, you have to beat the best to be the best. It's a cliche, but there's still something there. I've heard the argument of like, oh man, this cup feels weird because everybody's going to be healthy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Everybody's going to be healthy.
Like,
everybody's dealing with the same shit. That's why it doesn't make sense to me to have like the asterisk. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because there's no advantage for any team, in my opinion. Well, like, okay, The advantage is the really, really injured teams are going to be healthy.
Yeah, like the Avs, right? Like it's almost a bigger advantage for the Avs, and maybe that's why I feel this way. But at the same time, like the Avs were second in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
With the team that was broken.
Yeah.
So shut the fuck up. They got got themselves there. They put themselves in a better position than a lot of teams that weren't as hurt as them.
Right.
And now they get this bonus of being healthy. Like, screw off. I don't see that as a problem or a reason to diminish the value of this cup. The thing that would suck, and the thing we've joked about, is like winning the cup is winning the cup. These players aren't going to care at the moment whether they won the cup in front of 18,000 fans or not.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you in 10 or 15 years when those guys retire and they maybe watch another Stanley Cup after retirement or whatever, just watch it get handed out in front of fans and just go, man, what could have been?
Yeah.
But I think
that'll be the only weird thing.
I think it's going to end up being similar to if you win the cup on the road. Right? There's only so many teams that get lucky enough to win the cup in their home building.
And it seems like it's super rare lately, right?
Yeah,
I remember they were talking about that stat last year.
Think of the Caps. They won the cup in Vegas.
Yeah.
St. Louis won at home last year.
They did. Yeah.
Right? And it's I can definitely see it being more enjoyable to win it in front of your home fans, but winning it or not winning it is what we're all about for sure, right? And I don't see the asterisk thing. I don't see people going, wow, I can't believe they gave the cup away that year. That's insane.
I think especially if they don't
put
it down to like a 3-game series or something.
Yeah, if everything's set, which I think is still the plan from what I read on the Pierre LeBrun article, was that they still want it to be 7-game series from everything after the play-ins, whatever they end up being, right? And I don't see anything wrong with that. It's crazy to me that people see it more negative than positive, because I think the team that wins, it's just going to be another hurdle to overcome to win the cup.
Yeah.
Where it hasn't been before, right? And to me, I think you look at this year's cup winner and go, wow. They especially if, say, hypothetically, Tampa Bay stumbles out of the gate and get knocked out in the first or second round or whatever ends up being. You're like, that could have happened to anyone.
Yeah.
Now, because it's Tampa Bay, you're like, well, they did it last year. Who cares? It's just what they do.
Yeah.
But if it's a team like Boston, who are just perennial cup contenders and studs, if they falter, you're going to be like, wow, maybe this break was crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, you could also look at it like if there's a team out there that, really underperforms like that, maybe their personal preparation and everything wasn't, up to par.
Maybe they got real fat over the break.
Right? And I mean, all these athletes, if they want the cup this year, are in shape right now. Like our man Grubauer.
I was going to say, if there's an Avalanche player out there that is slacking off right now,
talking to you,
I'm going to lose my shit.
Big Z.
I may be slacking off and getting fat, but you're not allowed.
Yeah.
You're an athlete.
Yeah.
I am a couch potato. And I'm looking like one. But it's just all that. And so I guess if we want to get into first shout out to our sponsors, I guess, since I keep forgetting to do that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Manscaped, who, again, like we said last episode, are all over the place right now. Again, we haven't really touched on it, but the UFC, they had 2 more events since the last time we recorded.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, they haven't given anybody else corona, so that's good.
Yeah.
And, again, Souza didn't get corona from being at the event, so,
right.
If they did nail 3 events in 8 days without transferring, without being a cause of corona spreading, I think that's an awesome sign for things to come for other sports.
Totally.
NASCAR started up today. Live golf is on in the background here.
Doing a golf event.
TaylorMade driving for what? What was it called? Driving for some sort
Damn
of.
it, I can't remember.
Some sort of charity event where they're playing golf.
Driving relief.
Driving relief.
Yeah.
That's the one. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just like it. Just whether or not you like the UFC. Also, forgot to shout out Gagey last week, Denver boy.
Yeah.
Fighting out of Denver. But since then, we've had...
So many people fight out of Denver,
dude,
man.
What the
Get
hell?
that team elevation, man. Team elevation.
So yeah, congrats to Overeem last night for winning his main
he
event.
trains out of Denver, too.
And then Wednesday, Drew Dober with a very good fight.
That was a great fight.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, Gagey, interim title. Hell yeah. Great
crazy
fight.
good fight.
Beautiful fight.
Yeah.
Man, there's been some
crazy.
like... So they said the Gagey Ferguson fight was like best, like up there with the best ever. I think they're crazy. It was nice though, like that
It's
was
up there for best fight in this year, probably.
definitely. Definitely it'll be up there for fight of the year this year for sure. But
Yeah.
it's definitely not up for like fight of the year ever.
Yeah.
But it was great,
Yeah.
right? And then the fight night that was Wednesday, almost start to finish, was unreal,
Yeah, it was really, really good.
including the main event, which was one-sided for Smith, and then all of a sudden one-sided for Teixeira. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
And just warriors, man. So many warriors in these cards, man.
Yeah.
So many. Like, the heart on these guys.
It's just, if you're a fight fan, the last 8 days were insane.
Yeah, and just a freaking breath of fresh air to see
Yeah.
something like this. And, man, they nailed it, man. The
It
UFC
wasn't
did a
ex-
really good job.
It wasn't exactly as normal, but man, it was good.
Yeah.
For having no fans, I thought it was great. The full circle, I guess, the reason I brought the UFC up again was Manscaped being front and center again, just on the mat, just like they are just going nuts advertising everywhere.
Hell of a sponsor.
We are fantastically lucky to be sponsored by Manscaped as well.
Hell yeah.
Again, THPN's the code, 20% off, free shipping on whatever you want, all that stuff. The other thing that I wanted to bring up though was that I keep forgetting to bring up is the Cool Hockey contest that's going on again for the gift card.
Another sick sponsor.
Another sick sponsor for us. If you need a jersey, code THPN I think is 30% off. Probably should have checked that before we started recording. But you buy your jersey, you're 30% off, and then get entered in a draw for a gift card for basically a jersey.
Right.
So hockey's coming back. You got to sit in your house. Maybe you need a Burakovsky jersey to celebrate him being a stud, an absolute stud. Maybe that's the case. Maybe you want the Zadorov jersey. Maybe you're crazy.
Maybe it'll give him some confidence. I don't know.
Or maybe you need a Chuchi jersey.
Big Z.
Maybe you need a Chuchi jersey and not Nichushkin on the back, but Chuchi.
Oh,
that would be legit.
That'd be great.
Get a Chuchi jersey. Tweet us a picture. Amazing.
Yeah.
I would love you forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, now that that's out of the way, because I'm special and can't remember things, the return to hockey, the Pierre LeBrun stuff, it sounds like the 24 team scenario is what's on the top of the list. That being said, it's a little different than what we talked about before. Before, it was 6 teams per division, which made your 24 teams. This time, it sounds like it's going to be the top 12 in the conference, which is going to help.
Like some kind of crossover.
Which is going to help a team like the Rangers not miss, because that's the crazy part, is that the Rangers, in theory, could have missed in the 6 teams per division scenario. But if they did do the crossover, they would be the team that crosses over into the Atlantic, and they would have a higher winning percentage than the Montreal Canadiens, who are the 5th team in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
So in that case, they would take like that 5th spot, and then Montreal would be 6th spot? Sort of.
Okay. It sounds like what they're trying to do, or what they're considering doing, because like we said, right, it's not really, it's going to be weird if they just jump into playoff hockey, right?
Yeah.
So apparently one of the scenarios that's floating around is they're going to play a round robin prior to the first elimination games. And those round robin results are going to add to each team's regular season totals. And then the winning percentage is going to be derived from that. So like whatever games you have played currently, plus the 5 games that they play as like exhibition / not exhibition games.
So like throughout that particular div.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like basically if it's 6 teams, so if it's a 24 team setup, they'll play each team once. They'll have a 5-game round robin.
Okay.
Played over like 7 or 8 days is the thought. Maybe 8 or 9 depending. That's a lot. That's a lot of hockey. But
it's going to be like that.
Without travel, it's doable for
that's
sure.
True.
Right?
That's
without
true.
travel, they should be okay.
Yeah. It's going to be condensed no matter how you look at it.
But that should help teams that are like, because that shouldn't hurt a team that's first or second in the div. Like, in theory, for the Avs being second in the div, right? You're probably not going to fall out of second.
Plus, we got a decent cushion.
Yeah, right.
There now that they built.
Pretty decent cushion, and they could, in theory, get first place. Not that that's really going to do anything. Like, if they outperform St. Louis over those 5 games, right? You're still going to probably be playing the 1-2 game if you're in the top 2.
All right, so they would still do that kind of.
So you have to have. So this is the thing. So another thing that they're looking at is they don't want bye weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they don't want buys for the series because then you're basically going to get warmed up and then sit and do nothing.
Right.
So with 24 teams, you have 3 series in theory, right? So you have first and second playing for first overall, and like the top seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then while they're doing that series, you have 3, 4, 5, 6 playing to get into the actual playoffs.
Right. So like 3, 6, and 4 and 5. Yeah.
Which depends on most likely will depend on how the round robin turns out for those teams, right?
Yeah, that'll probably decide a lot of those
right,
cases.
It probably will because, again, like we said, not most of that, like if you look at the Rangers, they're very, very tight. You look at the Jets, like we talked to Brandon and Colin, thank you. You look at those guys, and it's like, man, one win is going to mean a lot in that round robin.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the thing.
Tight races there.
It's going to be weird because those games are going to mean a lot, but they're also going to be exhibition, sort of.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a bit odd, but I think it's the best way because if you just play exhibition games right now, that's also weird.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to finish the season because you don't want to waste time. But you can't just jump into playoff hockey because that's not how professional sports works, right?
Yeah.
You just can't jump on a moving train, playoff hockey.
Yeah,
style
that's the thing. They
after
can't just
not playing for 3 months.
Yeah, they can't just be like as well, like with the fact that the season got cut short, 10, 11 games, whatever. You can't just be like, all right, well, boom.
Yeah, even then,
playoffs.
Yeah, like even then, right? If say you started at game 72 and finished it off, it'd be really weird to just jump right into there too without exhibition games either.
Yeah, I mean, right.
So this like round robin sort of setup seems to kind of make sense because it means something, but it only means something for seeding, which might not actually mean anything, right? Because like in theory, you could have a better matchup as the 6th seed against the 3rd seed than if you were a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah.
Right? We watch it every year, right? Like you just watch some of the first round matchups and you're just like, they're a 3rd seed?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Right. Especially, like the whole huge argument that it is, the whole standing system and playoff, whatever.
The whole
gone through that shit.
Divisional crap.
Yeah.
Right? So
and I mean, that's why I always just bring it back to, man, like whoever gets into these playoffs, however it's set up, you're going to have to win the games.
Every team is in the same boat.
Yeah. It is what it is. You got to win to get in.
If you're in the bottom 4, you put yourself there.
Yeah.
Right? If you're 3, 4, 5, 6, when the round robin's over, you put yourself there.
And that doesn't mean you can't win.
No, it doesn't. Then there's also the thought of a 20-team system, which would take in the Eastern Conference, the Rangers and the Habs would miss, and in the Western Conference, I think it was Arizona and Chicago would miss. Same thing. It would be the top 10 in the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, not the top 5 in each division. It'd just be so you could have a crossover like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with 20, 20, the extra 4 teams to me makes sense in the whole like, well, if you're gonna go to 24, you might as well go to 31 aspect, right? But the thing that makes 24 work is that you don't have buys.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you have 20, you don't want to eliminate teams in the round robin. So you want to have a sort of series, like a play-in series.
Yeah.
Right? But if you did that, then your 1 seed would have a bye.
Right.
Right? Because 2 and 5 would play and 3 and 4 would play, while 1 is just sitting there.
Just chilling.
Like you're resting, but like not really.
Resting
it's
after the rest.
It's not really going to accomplish anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I think the 24 team thing is going to probably play out here.
And you know what? Thinking about it, that probably does make more sense.
And then to me, again, you go back. The thing is, it's like, yes, 24 teams get in. Say the Rangers make it, or say Chicago makes it, or Arizona, whatever. Then people go, oh, well, they made it. It's bullshit. You know, like they shouldn't even have been in the playoffs. They shouldn't be the top 16. It's like, well, if they had 10 more games, then they might have ended up there, right?
Exactly.
It's the ifs and whens and all that bullshit that I think is crazy, and I don't know why people care so much.
I feel like that's the thing is they're gonna try and do this the fairest way. There's games left on the season. Those teams could have made some miraculous. What Arizona goes on a 10-game win streak.
The Avs could have passed St. Louis for first. Legitimate
think
first place.
Think about what the Avs did last year to get into the playoffs, right?
Who said they weren't going to go on a run? And we've talked about it, right? The just play better argument. That's all well and good, but there's a reason there's 82 games, not 70.
Yeah.
Right? And part of that's money. Yeah, sure. But a part of that is also 82 full games of hockey, so you can play everybody and all this shit.
Right.
And you can ramp up and all this stuff. You can have 2 months after the deadline, opposed to 1.
You're preparing for 82 games. You're not preparing for these 70 games that have been played.
Trust me, teams like I don't know, Vegas definitely comes to mind. Like some of these teams that have 1 goalie systems prepared their goalies to play 60 games of 82.
That's
not 60
another
of
thing
70.
to take into account. Yeah.
Right. So it's all this, but again, all this stuff, it's just ifs and whens if it would have actually mattered. It's no reason to just be like, we shouldn't even do this. It's different. It shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
If that's the case, we should never have a lockout shortened season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, why didn't we just scrap that whole
we
season?
should just scrap the whole thing.
It's not fair.
I don't remember.
My team doesn't start playing good till game 70.
I don't remember a single, or if you're a Leafs fan, my team doesn't start playing shitty until game 70.
Yeah.
That's why they made the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
But like, I never heard somebody during that season say, we shouldn't, this Stanley Cup shouldn't count.
Right.
Not once.
Because, the integrity is still going to be there. And you know that, like, if there's one thing that we can trust Gary on is that he wants it to be competitive, you know, right?
That for sure, right?
So I mean, 16 wins is 16 wins. I hope that it is 7-game series, because that is one thing that would shake me a bit. I think
I agree. If it was best of 5s or something, I'd be like,
it wouldn't feel right.
No.
So like, and I doubt they do that, because I feel like, I mean, if we get that June 1st fucking John Scott date,
Dude,
I kind of doubt that. But
hey, man, all he said was training camp. All he said.
I mean, and that's true. And
it's shaping up. 2 weeks is very, very doable right now where they're at.
And if they have that thought in mind that they don't mind moving the start of next season a couple months down, I mean, there's gonna be time here. Like we have the time. So the fans, the media, I think people in general are the ones that make the requirement for an end. Right. And like there's people that I've seen say like, summertime isn't meant for hockey. Oh, shut up, dude.
Man, I don't give a shit right now.
Why does time of year matter? Are you kidding me?
I did see that, which was a bit of a question mark, and they were kind of debate. Apparently Arizona's in the mix for being a hub.
Mm-hmm.
That would be very odd, because I don't think the ice there is good to begin with.
Yeah, and then you get like 120 degrees fucking Fahrenheit every day or some shit.
Like,
yeah.
It's just like 105, 110 degrees outside.
We're playing in slush today.
Yeah, while it would be awesome to like go to the rink in flip-flops and play in go to the rink in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah.
That would be great. Until you're on the ice.
I mean, yeah, it would. I don't know. That would probably
fog bowl maybe.
That would probably be a factor, right?
Right. So that to me was a bit weird, especially when you have options of like Minnesota.
Yeah.
Which again,
or even St.
everybody's
Louis.
going to be hot. Like if it's in like, and I don't think it's going to be in Florida. Fingers crossed.
Well, hell, you put it up here in Canada, man. We get pretty hot. Like we're getting pretty nice temperature now, right?
If it's in Toronto or something, like
Vancouver.
they get hot. Vancouver gets hot.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe it doesn't get 110 Fahrenheit hot, but
yeah,
it's hot.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that stuff that they still have to definitely understand. There's also a thought I was reading that like the cup final and the conference final, kind of similar to the way they do March Madness with the Final Four, will all be in one location where they won't travel.
Cool.
Which, aside from like the tiny bit of arena revenue that you get from like actually having games and actually having players there and stuff like that, I don't think that money really means a lot to like split it between, like, hypothetically it's Colorado and Washington. Hypothetically, right? Like I don't think you're gonna get a whole lot of revenue just having people play on your ice.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Again, actually, I saw a tweet before we recorded too of like, this is really shaping up to be like a Columbus Blue Jackets win the cup kind of season, isn't it? And it's just like, you shut your dirty mouth.
Could you imagine? Like, I mean, hell, that's what I mean. I feel like this is just. I feel like it's gonna be cool, man, because everyone's on the same playing field here now. Like, who even knows who's gonna? Maybe the Avs suck when we come back. You never know. It might happen.
Yep.
It could happen. I mean, there was stretches where this team did not play well.
You don't want to hear it, but like it's a very real possibility.
And then what if the Jets just go off and just kill it?
Yeah. Somehow they just still have no defense, but they're like, yeah, whatever.
I mean, I feel like there's so many. I feel like there's big questions, and I love it.
There's so much ifs when it comes to winning the cup on a good day. Never mind right now.
Yeah.
It's just like adding a couple doesn't really change anything to me.
Yeah.
You still have to
It's the same thing.
You still have to get incredibly lucky when it comes to injuries and it comes to playing well and playing hot and running into a hot goal.
Timely goals, yeah, exactly.
Timely goals, yeah, like
some 4-minute power plays and shit.
4 goals on 5-minute power play.
That's what I meant to say. 4 goals on the power play.
Like,
yeah.
Offside reviews that go one way or the other. Like,
exactly, right?
It just, there's so many ifs that I don't see it mattering.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing. Once this gets going and we're like into the first round, everybody's going to forget this shit.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, we're watching fucking first round of playoff hockey now.
Dude.
Let's go.
We're sitting in one of my favorite places to watch hockey outdoors in the summertime.
Yeah.
I remember watching Vegas win the third round in the backyard outside. I don't give a shit if it's August or if it's June or if it's May. I just want to watch hockey, please.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I got so many good feelings and just like butterflies, goosebumps from just watching the UFCs, and especially just because they were such good events. Like, such
hockey
good
could be
fights.
the same thing.
And yeah, it just got me into the mode like, oh, I just can't wait for the puck to drop in the first round because that's like the best feeling. You get to watch 8 solid-ass series. And just, 3-4 games a night, you're just like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a part of me that definitely needs that in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another reason why I'm like, fuck you to anybody who doesn't want this season to happen. Because come on, bro. We need that. I need that in my life.
The thing is, too, and again, we've talked about it, it's just like, if the season didn't happen, there's all the trade deadline stuff that happened. There's
there's so many implications, right?
The end of contracts for people. Minnesota's going through with Mikko Koivu on his, victory, like his last hurrah kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
What if destiny was for your team to win that year's cup?
Yeah.
and it just doesn't even happen.
Right.
Obviously, you don't know about it. You just never know. But what if, like...
Sure, that's a feeling that a lot of us have, right?
What if
like,
this
is a special Avs season, man.
Right, yeah. Like, you're sitting here looking at the advanced stats numbers and going, wow, man. For a team that was broken for most of the year, going like, man, maybe this is it.
Yeah.
Like we kind of said last week.
Vibes.
Like,
yeah.
the people that are like, are the Avs a contender? And it's like, oh, we got to wait and see. It's like, man, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, the proof is here, man. We already seen it. Yeah.
Right? So it's just like, it's just got to happen, please.
Yeah. What else?
The last,
what was I gonna say?
the other, I don't know about this conversation. Like, do you have more for this topic? Because there's one more thing I want to talk about before we get out of here.
No, I mean, no, not really. Go for it.
I don't know if anybody saw the tweet from the Blue Notes podcast. It was basically what I would say is the way you type out a evil laugh. I don't know if anybody saw in Avs country, but the LA Rams, the old St. Louis Rams, Thomas kind of talked about his hatred for Kroenke and his KSE, Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, because they moved St. Louis to LA basically to make more money. Not because it was failing in St. Louis, but because they could make more money in LA.
Yeah, right.
They promised a $2.5 billion stadium. Reports came out this week that stadium has ballooned to $5 to $6 billion.
What the fuck, dude?
That is insane.
Yeah.
That's not cost overruns because of the economy. That's just bad planning, and it got out of hand. It's insane. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, like what were they doing, going down like a checklist, like you're fucking buying a car and getting all your extra accessories? Yep, I want that. I want that. Oh, I definitely want that.
But
you know what? Let's put this in.
But they did that after budgeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Not before, after.
What's the budget at? Oh, shit.
Oh, wait, what? What happened?
Gonna have to make some calls here.
Now, the only reason I'm talking about that is because it's KSE related. Kroenke owns a lot of sports teams. Obviously, the Avs are one of them. The Nuggets, the Mammoth, all that stuff. I hope that this is not a thing that happens here in Denver.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, if anybody actually read that Athletic article that we talked about last week, one of the questions in there was like, do you think that the Pepsi Center is a good building? It was kind of half and half. I think it was a little like 60-40. Mm-hmm. Yes, it was good, and 40 that could use an upgrade.
Yeah.
I think you're crazy if you think that, like, obviously it's not best in the league, but like
there's lots worse.
There's tons worse. We live in a city with
come to Calgary.
Yeah.
Go to the Saddle Dome, you'd be like, what the fuck is this?
This thing's 35 years
this
old.
This is it?
Yeah.
It looks fucking cool though.
It's just a case of if and when the Avs and Nuggets need a new building.
Which isn't probably too far off the future.
Well, the thing is, right, like, I think it's, 11 or 12 years old or something?
Is that it?
Maybe more than that, actually.
I feel like it's more.
Let me Google that.
Googs,
it's 20 years old, sorry.
There you go.
1999 opened. So you're probably looking at 10 years roughly, right? You need it.
That's kind of like
want a new building in 10 years. That means you got to start planning for the new building in 5.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, don't pull a Calgary.
If all of a sudden the bill of goods is that it's a $1 billion arena, and then all of a sudden that balloons to 2.5, that is insanity.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing about the stadium in LA is the fact that they're sharing it with the Chargers. And
it's weird, kind of.
It is super weird, but it's football. Weird. They only have so many games. It's probably more doable than a lot of
definitely.
Things. It's probably a lot more doable than it is
Clippers, Lakers.
That Clippers Lakers one is insane.
Fuck, because the Kings play there too, right? Is that the same? Is that Staples?
Yeah, Staples.
Yeah, that's fucking insane.
It's so crazy.
I don't know how they do that.
I don't either. But right, it's the thing about the LA one is it's private. Like, there's no funding from the government. But they may require fund. Like, they may ask for it from Denver, like from people in Denver, right? It may happen. We watch it pretty much everywhere else. I think it's crazy, especially for a venue that can host 2 pro sports teams. I don't think public money should ever be spent on a venue like that.
Yeah, when you got that
But
caliber, kind of. Yeah.
If he thinks he can get some, he'll ask for it. By the looks of things, with how he just moved St. Louis, right? Or moved the Rams, right?
Yeah.
Just they're offering a greener pasture, so I'm going.
See ya.
I could see him asking the state of Denver for money, and it's terrifying that that's the building down the road that's just ballooning out of control. Like, it's insane. It's something you got to watch out with Cronky or whatever. And I just wanted to talk about it because we've had Tom on, and he has a very sour taste in his mouth from Cronky.
Yeah, for sure.
And the guy seems like he cares more about the dollars than anything else, right? So it's
like a lot of them do.
Yeah. The thing is, and this is the balancing act, is I think you'd rather an owner that just cares about the dollars more than you want like a Jerry Jones or buddy from Dallas. What the hell's his name? The Mavericks owner.
Shit.
I
Damn it. I can never remember his name. Mark something or whatever.
Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Right, like I think you'd rather have the background owner than the fantasy owner.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it's probably
But
better for business.
It's way nicer to see a happy medium. Like the Blues had it, right? The Blues had it. The Caps had it too, where like it's cool when you see the owner when they care, but when they don't meddle, right?
Right.
When they meddle with things, that's when it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
When they just care about winning and losing, that's when it gets good.
Yeah.
Because they want to spend money on stuff like that, right? But yeah, it's the Kroenke thing with the LA stadium. It's out of Denver's grasp for issues for them, like for the Avs, for the Nuggets, all that. But it's something that's just like right on the edge where it's just like, man, you got to watch out the next time that happens.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you can justify the Avs and the Nuggets supporting a building that's like the most expensive building in the league.
Yeah.
When you look at like Madison Square Garden and the building they just built in Detroit and stuff like that. Like even Edmonton's, right? Like,
yeah.
I'm not saying you can't build what's there. Like you can't build something comparable, but you can't have it just all of a sudden be like triple the cost of what Edmonton paid for theirs.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It just doesn't seem.
And again,
right.
it's years away, but just think back to this date or like this week, and just be cautious.
Just remember.
As a fan. Just like don't just take the propaganda that gets spewed about a new arena from Crank.
Read that
KSE.
fine print.
Right. Yeah. It's just everybody has the like. I feel like it's like the easiest stereotype going. Construction easy, always over budget, and it's always late. That's fine. It's not late and 2.5 times the budget.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
Normally it's like 20 over or something.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
200,
which is like plannable for, right? Yeah. Not like triple the price.
It's just like crazy, man.
Better be a fucking nice building, dude.
Man, if it's like it better be. Well, because like, what the hell is the one in Vegas going to cost?
Oh yeah, we were just looking at that too for the Raiders, which also looks pretty dope.
So it's budgeted for $1.84 billion.
Man,
if that thing in LA is going to cost
what did they
almost
say?
triple, 5 to 6.
Yeah, what the? That's crazy, dude.
That is mental.
I mean, if there is a place to have that,
it's LA.
It's LA. Sure. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, it's in LA. Okay,
but it's like I understand the NFL prints money. I get it. But how do you justify that much money?
Yeah. It'd be interesting to go around that league and just see how much every building costs.
Well, for the Olympics too? That's a Bridges. Okay. But still, that's some money, and I get that, but my God. That doesn't make any sense to me. Because I'm trying to think of Cowboy Stadium, how much that was. Let's see. Cost of Cowboy Stadium, $1.2 billion. And that thing is insane.
Yeah. Yeah,
So, but that was 2013. That was
it's
almost 7 years ago.
You could probably pretty much prorate that up to
about what they're paying for the Raiders Stadium in Vegas, right? So it's like, okay, but so then you can't even prorate it to $2 billion in LA because it was supposed to open this year, I think, and I think it got pushed to next year or something. So I don't know, man, it's crazy. Yeah. I think we'll just sit here, grab the popcorn, and watch. But when it comes time for Denver and the Avs and the Nuggets to get a new building, just beware.
Something to keep in mind for sure.
But yeah, that's the sporting week for Avs country, it seems. And
for
it's just
the world.
Man. We're getting closer to normalcy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, up in Canada, they're starting to kind of open some things back up.
They haven't opened barbershops in Calgary yet, so my hair is still fucked.
The flow. Got a nice little wave going.
Dude, it's so brutal. I drove here with the windows open and no hat on, so we just got fucked. And I was like,
yeah, wind hair.
Wind hair.
Gotta love it.
So yeah, I'm pretty. I'm never pretty, but like I'm extra not pretty right now. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in to the May 18th episode of the Offside by a Mile podcast, and hopefully in 2 weeks we're talking about real deal on ice hockey.
I feel like we say that at the end of every podcast.
Yeah, well,
hopefully it's coming.
Hopefully it is.
But there's stuff actually developing now. Okay.
Oh yeah, we forgot to mention. There's a possibility of the draft being announced tomorrow.
Oh right, I kind of wanted to.
Monday.
That's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Simply because
Pierre LeBrun,
how the order is literally built off the playoffs. It's hard to.
Pierre LeBrun, yeah, I forgot about that too. Yeah,
right. So like that's why that
totally
part confuses me. Is like how can we even talk about the draft when we don't even know what's happening?
I just don't really get why. Like the 3 months extra of like having development time with players, I don't know. I don't see it worth it. Like they're still gonna develop for 3 months without you. It's just not going to be under your direction. I get over it.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Yeah. I don't know. The draft is like the last thing on my concern list here. So, and like, I don't know, priorities could lie elsewhere. Although, you know, of course they're going to be prepping that, and there's probably a whole different team that are trying to organize that.
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in.
Might have some news here.
Maybe.
I guess because, tomorrow, I guess today for everyone listening, there's big meeting at 3 p.m. Eastern or whatever. So
I believe the weekly Board of Governors meeting is Monday. So
we might figure some shit out.
This podcast may go obsolete in a hurry. We'll find out.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you never know.
Until then, we will see you next week. And thanks for coming out, and hopefully it's entertaining still.
Yeah.
The biggest thing you can do to support us is by going to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and giving us a 5-star rating. Also, if you're looking to donate to the network, visit the Hockey Podcast Network's Patreon page. All donations go straight to the podcast host. Thanks, and see you next episode.
You're listening to the Hockey Podcast Network on Twitter at HockeyPodNet. New episodes every Monday and Thursday. Download at thehockeypodcastnetwork.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.